up, everybody? Welcome back to the Orange Bloods Texas Football YouTube channel. And I'd urge you to hit subscribe if you have not yet already. Plus, ring the bell. That way you're always notified when we post new videos. And we are posting all kinds of new content all the time. I'm here to give you an update on realignment because obviously realignment is front and center as the season approaches for Texas fans because of the sort of unknown date at this point in time of when Texas could end up in the SEC. And so a huge piece to when that could happen rests on what the rest of the college football world does. So last week we learned from Max Olson of The Athletic that the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC had meetings together to form some sort of alliance. We're getting a lot of new words in the sports lexicon when it comes to conference realignment, including pods, or as they're commonly referred to, divisions for the SEC, and now alliance. Now, what you have to understand is that we're going to hear of a lot of these meetings over the course of the next year plus as things start to get themselves figured out. There will be corresponding moves. As I mentioned in the past, we're pretty much in the eye of the storm at this point. And so there's going to be a lot of meetings. You're going to hear meetings between schools and schools, between schools and conferences, between conferences and conferences. So there's going to be a lot of meetings. Some of them will be public, others won't be. But the key to understanding this alliance could not only be a scheduling alliance, but could also mean cooperation amongst these three conferences as they try to go after the big bad wolf of the SEC. All right, so let's audit this report, shall we? A scheduling alliance between the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC. I mean, imagine a world in which Oregon plays Ohio State. Or wouldn't it be awesome if Michigan could play Washington in a game? How cool would that be? Just trying to think of other awesome matchups that could potentially come out of these three conferences forming some sort of a scheduling alliance. What about Virginia, Maryland? Wouldn't that be cool? And Ohio State, Washington. I mean, they've already played Oregon. Why not play Washington too? Oh, these games are already happening. It's almost like the Power 5 conferences currently have some sort of a scheduling alliance that allows them to schedule non-conference games against one another for the sake of money. Now you might come back at me and say, yeah, but this is different because this is more of a widespread scheduling alliance. As we talk about all of these conferences and the haves and the have-nots, because there are a lot of have-nots in these conferences, what are we looking at here? From the Pac-12, we're looking at, USC, Oregon, Washington, maybe UCLA, maybe. Those move the needle in terms of ratings. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State in the Big Ten, maybe more. In the ACC, Clemson, Miami, Florida State 10 years ago. So they're going to schedule meetings between those teams. And then USC is cool with sharing all the profits for those games with Arizona and Stanford and Cal. Or we gearing up for that big UNC-Purdue matchup that's already been scheduled for a home-and-home starting in 2027. Ooh, big ratings boost there. If the Big Ten wanted USC, Oregon, and Washington, they wouldn't form an alliance with them. They would just take them and have them join the conference. And that would really rival what the SEC is building in terms of a television deal. And that might be the move that might be in the best interests of the Big Ten. Careful, George Kliavkoff. It's a trap. And here's the funniest part. Does this alliance preclude them from scheduling games against SEC opponents? Because currently, the SEC is littered with games against the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the ACC, and even the Big 12 for years to come. It appears as though everybody wants a piece of the SEC because of the dollars associated with those games on television. Ohio State and Alabama have games scheduled, and just go down the line. Every single year, there are marquee non-conference matchups between SEC opponents and the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12, not even including the Big 12. So this alliance then, are they going to turn their backs on playing really high profitable games against the SEC? Okay, so removing ourselves from the scheduling part of this for a moment, the other part was this cooperation thing that they've talked about. To come together to vote on things like rules for scholarship limits and the college football playoff, kind of like the current structure that currently exists. So when you really look deeper at this alliance that's being reported, what you really see is the current state of college football. It is literally no different than what we currently have, other than a lot of talk about trying to do something to get on equal footing of the SEC and falling short of doing that. The Pac-12 and the ACC are going to cling as close as they can get to the Big Ten because they want some of that Big Ten money. They're like krill feeding off of the shark. But hopefully at some point, Kevin Warren and the Big Ten realizes we're the shark here. We don't need any krill to be feeding off of us. We don't need the ACC. We don't need the Pac-12. We just need the best schools from those conferences, and they don't need the rest of those conferences. Much in the same way that Oklahoma and Texas said to the Big 12. Remember, there will be a lot of reporting that's going to come out between now and when things really start to happen in conference realignment over the next year plus. A lot of meetings and a lot of alliance talk and pods and scheduling alliances and on and on and on. But the reality of the situation is that there will be conferences that eat other conferences. And it won't just be the Big 12 being eaten. I'm Ari Temkin. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. Also, consider hitting the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you're always notified when we post new videos.